Hi, I'm Robin Tucker, and this is how I made my new song, Crisis of. When I tell people that I'm a songwriter, typically the first question that they ask, if they're gonna ask a question, is what comes first, the music or the lyrics? And what I think they mean is what comes first, the melody or the lyrics, because I view the music as the accompaniment, the track, the instruments, and then the melody and the lyrics are the other two components of the triumvirate that is a song. But I think they mean what comes first, the melody or the lyrics. Do you write lyrics first and then come up with a tune, or do you come up with a tune and then write the lyrics? And it happens both ways. I always can never give them a solid answer, but sometimes the music does come first, the actual accompaniment. And this song started for me when I came up with a piano riff that I thought was really cool. At the time that this song is coming out, I have been dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome for about a year, and it's been really, really, really tough. And that's what this song ended up being about. And not just about, oh, I'm suffering, this is really hard, but how do I contend with feeling really bad and at the same time, I still have hopes and dreams and movement happening in my life that I feel like is pulling me towards the future, but I don't feel like I can move towards the future because I barely have energy for the present. And that's kind of where the first verse lyrics came from.
How do I deal with the parting ways of joy and sadness, choice and fate?
This song ended up being about not just my journey with chronic fatigue, which I don't think you would pick up on in the song because I'm not really saying, oh, I'm so tired, I am in bed, but also about the sadness that I felt and feel about how my life has gone. I think one of the reasons that I have ended up with fatigue is disappointments snowballing into an avalanche over a lifetime. Things I thought would go one way that didn't. I've often felt like I've kind of sat on the sidelines and watched other people get the things I want, which, looking into my life, people would probably say my life looks pretty great. But as with most people suffering from chronic fatigue, we tend to be very high achievers, very grounded people who have a good head on their shoulders and have their lives together, but there's a lot going on under the surface and behind the scenes. So I wanted the second verse to be about all the things I was looking for and all the ways that I had tried and tried and tried and had not squeezed the nourishment out of life that I was seeking.
Dust on my knees most every day, and some things come, but most delay. Don't think I ask too much. Contentment and a pretty boy to touch me. Worn out from searching, and it feels like...
One of my favorite lyrics in this whole song is dust on my knees most every day, and some things come, but most delay. And the dust on my knees there is a reference to being in prayer. I'm not a prayer in the traditional sense, but I talk to the universe as I understand it a lot. And this song kind of ended up being a dialogue between me and the universe, voicing my frustrations and later, asking the universe to remind me that life is worth living and to promise me that if I kept going, there would be something good. So the dust on my knees most every day is that desperation, asking every day. I've been working towards these things. I've been asking for these things. Where are they in my life? And the some things come, but most delay is about how I felt like a lot of things have worked out for me, but the things that have meant the most to me have not. And I was uncomfortable voicing that for a really long time because I didn't want to seem ungrateful or like I wasn't really happy with wonderful things that had shown up in my life that I am lucky and privileged and honored to have in my life orbit. But the non-rational part of me, the subcortical part of me, you might say, just really wanted very, very specific things really, really badly that have not happened for me. And that just builds up so much sadness, so much disappointment. It feels like a weight. It feels like that weight of fatigue. Sadness and fatigue for me go very hand in hand. The chorus of this song was always going to be the because I didn't feel like there were words necessary to transfer the feeling to the listener. And in fact, I thought words would sully the point I was trying to make. In the end of the pre-chorus, when I say, and it feels like, I allow the music there to convey the feeling instead of lyrics. I was really inspired. Kind of later, I'd written that chorus, and then it reminded me of a song by my all-time favorite artist, Enya, The Humming, in which the chorus is just hummed. So I like the comparison between those two songs because her body of work has been probably the most influential of any artist on me. The bridge is probably the most emotionally packed moment of the song for me. When I talk about writing in a journal, my hopes and dreams, and then writing on top of them so I don't scream, I have accumulated so many journals over my lifetime of affirmations that I've written and statements and fantasies for what I want my life to be. I was exposed very early on in my life to the idea of manifestation and the law of attraction and affirmations. And if you believe something, it will be true. And if you, say that you have X, Y, and Z over and over and over again and feel into that feeling, you will have it. And it's interesting because I have a lot of evidence in my life that works in some cases, but not in all cases. Kind of, again, going back to the lyric, and some things come, but most delay. So that line is about all these journals that I've kept that are full of such optimism and hope and positivity. Honestly, really painful for me at this moment in my life to go back and read. I'm like, oh, he didn't know what was coming. There's something about needing to survive so much that you're having to write over what you had hoped for your life. And that is kind of how I have felt this year. And I felt when I was writing that song that I was totally putting my life on hold because I was too tired to continue. Like when you used to have cassette tapes and you would rewind back on the tape and record over. That's kind of what my life felt like.
I filled up a journal with my hopes and dreams. Now I write over them so I don't fucking scream.
In the very end of the bridge, I call back to a few of my previous songs.
Speak to me of laughter-filled days. Remind me of a river in the summer haze. Tell me about evenings spent racing on our bikes.
Speak to Me of Laughter-Filled Days was a callback to my song My Party, which is a more optimistic song that I've written. Actually, when I initially wrote that song, it was a very slowed down ballad, and then the production choice was made to make it into more of a bop. But the Laughter-Filled Days is a nod to the chorus of that song where I sing, I want to get drunk on laughter, I want to get high on love. The Remind Me of a River in the Summer Haze is a call to my song Shiver. And Tell Me About Evenings Spent Racing on Our Bikes is hearkening back to my song To Us from my first album, Wild. So I wanted to nod to these past entries in my discography to kind of say, I want to feel that way again, but until I get there, I'm just going to have to feel what life feels like now. And honestly, I don't really know if I do want to get back to feeling that way, because when I wrote those songs, especially Shiver and My Party, I actually wrote those in very depressed moments where I was not writing about my lived experience, but what I wanted to be living, which has kind of been a theme in my music. And I think that this song is the culmination of sadness and frustration with those statements and visions not becoming manifest.
And until I get there, it'll just feel
The original demo for this song was about 2.5 minutes long. It was the first verse, a chorus, the part about when Lucifer fell from heaven, it went into a chorus, and it was a double chorus at the end. 2.5 minutes.
How do I deal with the parting ways of joy and sadness, choice and fate? The polar opposites inhabit every molecule of me, caught in between, and it feels like
I had decided this is just going to be a little short song. I don't feel well, but I do want to put something out. It's been a minute since I had put out my song On Your Mind, which came before Crisis of. So I sent it to my guitar player to put some guitar on, because I decided that was something that would add to the song. And about 6 hours later, I said to myself, no, there needs to be more on this song. So I added a second verse, sent it to him. And then about a couple hours later, I thought, no, it needs a bridge. So I recorded a bridge and finished out the song, which ends up being almost 5 minutes long, but it started out as a 2-minute and 30-second demo. One of my favorite production elements on this song is the violin, which I actually played myself. I took Suzuki violin from 3rd to 8th grade, and I had not really picked up the violin in any serious capacity since 8th grade. I was inspired by Celtic folk fiddle music, and specifically the soundtrack of the Masterpiece Theatre show Poldark, which has this beautiful sweeping score. It's set in Cornwall in England and has this rural, melancholic feel to the music. And I remembered watching that when I was younger and wanting to nod to that in the violin arrangements on Crisis of. One of my great sorrows of making music is that the background vocals get turned way down in the mix when the song comes together in the end, because they're not there to steal the show. They're there to back up the lead vocal, offer some texture and some interesting moments, but the backing vocals are always my favorite. I produced the majority of this song, but I had two amazing session musicians play guitar and drums on this song, with the exception of the claps, which are a sample. But all the other drums are live, and the guitar, acoustic and electric, is also live. And they just bring such a richness. As ends up happening in a lot of my songs, there's always one element that comes into the song at the very end. In this song, it was in the last chorus, these stacked vocals chanting, "Bring me back to life."
Bring me back to life. Bring me back to life. Bring me back to life. Bring me back to.
This song means so much to me. It is a exploration of what it feels like to be in a really dark moment of your life. I have expressed on some songs that I haven't released that sadness, sorrow, misery do quite well in music typically, but usually in the case of romantic misery, sadness, grief, etc. But darker topics like health and interpersonal stuff, interpersonal in this instance meaning like inside your person, not between people. I kind of use that wrong, but you get what I'm saying. And as someone who has struggled with a number of chronic issues over the years, I consider it very essential work to release songs like this. Obviously, I would love not to have to write songs like this, but as long as I'm going through this experience, I want to be really honest about how it feels, so that other people who are going through similar things can relate and perhaps find some solace and comfort and hopefully courage to continue. So I hope you enjoy. Here is Crisis of in its entirety.
How do I deal with the parting ways of joy and sadness, choice and fate? The polar opposites inhabit every molecule of me, caught in between, and it feels like dust on my knees most every day, and some things come but most delay. Don't think I ask too much, contentment and a pretty boy to touch me, worn out from approaching, and it feels like I wanna know what's going on. Is this what it felt like when Lucifer fell from heaven? I filled up a journal with my hopes and dreams. Now I write over them so I don't fucking scream. Chains around my ankles, ships in the night. I pay the ticket fees, but I miss every flight. And they tell me it's alright. They cared for me, so I can spot a lie. They tell me it's alright. Anyway, speak to me of laughter-filled days. Remind me of a river in the summer haze. Tell me about evenings spent racing on our bikes, and until I get there, it'll just feel
I'm trying to meet you halfway. Just trying to make this work, you know?